This is the story of Rachel, a 29-year-old woman whose death exposed fractures in a system charged with protecting the public. It is told with the patience of investigation and the bluntness of fact. It is not sensational. It is human. Rachel moved to the city 18 months before the night she died. She had a job in graphic design she loved, colleagues who said she made every room feel lighter, and a steady ritual of talking to her sister every Sunday without fail. The Sunday before her death, she told that sister she had been feeling uneasy, but could not explain why. Neighbors noticed small disturbances. One neighbor heard raised voices from Rachel's apartment on at least 3 separate occasions in the weeks before her death. He considered calling the police and decided it was not his place. That decision, ordinary and private, became part of a larger pattern of inaction. On a Tuesday night in March, Rachel called 911 3 times. Each call carried the possibility of rescue and the urgency of a voice in danger. The first call arrived at 9:47 p.m. It lasted 41 seconds. The dispatcher who answered reported it sounded like background noise and disconnected. Department protocol required a minimum of 90 seconds before disconnecting an unclear call. That night, no action was taken against that dispatcher. 5 minutes later, at 9:52 p.m., the second call came in. A different dispatcher answered. Rachel gave her name and her address and said she needed help. The dispatcher asked her to repeat the address. The line went quiet. The dispatcher logged the call as a nuisance complaint and closed the ticket, believing she had hung up voluntarily. 2 minutes after that ticket was closed at 9:54 p.m., the audio recording captured Rachel still whispering on the line. She had not hung up. She was at her address. She was in danger. The system had already decided she was not a priority. The third call, placed at 9:58 p.m., entered a queue and was automatically dropped after 4 minutes due to high call volume. At that exact moment, 2 dispatchers were available at the center with no active calls. No officers were dispatched because of Rachel's calls. Officers were dispatched later that night at 10:31 p.m., only after the neighbor finally called from his own phone. His call was answered in 18 seconds. When officers arrived at Rachel's apartment, the door was unlocked. She was inside. The investigation that followed took 11 weeks. The person responsible was known to her and had no prior criminal record. The procedural and systemic details are not abstractions. They are the measurable points where a life intersected a bureaucracy and in that intersection slipped through. The dispatcher who disconnected the first call received a written warning. The dispatcher who logged the second call as a nuisance complaint was placed on temporary reassignment. The department issued a statement acknowledging it had identified areas for improvement. Rachel's sister released a 3-sentence statement. The last sentence read, "She called for help 3 times and no one came." 7 months after Rachel's death, the dispatch center installed a new call routing system. The upgrade had been funded by a budget allocation approved 2 years earlier and delayed twice. After installation, queue times dropped by 40%. The system worked better. Rachel did not live to see it. This reconstruction does not invent motives or dramatize the unknown. It traces decisions and inaction. The neighbor who heard voices and did not call. The dispatchers who interpreted calls through training and fatigue. A system with protocols that were not followed and with upgrades arrived too late. Each element is a human choice or institutional failure that folded into a final, avoidable outcome. There are questions the official records answer, and others they do not. Why did a recorded voice at 9:54 p.m. not trigger further inquiry? Why was a live identifying statement logged as a nuisance? Why did a dropped call coincide with available staff? Investigations can find policy failures and make recommendations. They cannot reconstruct what might have been if different choices had been made. The human toll is immediate and irreducible. Rachel's colleagues remember the way she made rooms feel lighter. Her sister remembers the unease she could not explain. The neighbor remembers raised voices and the choice not to act. The dispatch logs remember times, durations, notes, and the cold facts of protocol compliance and deviation. If this story has a lesson, it is not merely about technology or policy. It is about the consequence of thresholds. How long is enough to keep a line open? How certain must a call appear to merit dispatch? How delays and misclassification become the difference between life and death. It is about the many small decisions by individuals and systems that converge in a single tragic outcome. This narrative is an invitation to examine those decisions and to ask, with clarity and urgency, how similar failures can be prevented. It is also a memorial to Rachel, an account that insists her calls be counted, her words heard again, and her name not be reduced to a file number. If you believe the system exists to protect people like Rachel, this case will make you question that belief. Subscribe to Case Files TV every week, the cases the headlines covered, and the questions they left unanswered.